Hey everyone, and welcome to Robbie's Backstage Bants. Now, today I have the fantastic Rob Fowler with me, and we're going to chat all things Bat Out of Hell. It's going to be really, really awesome. Now, Rob, how are you?
Very good, actually. It's very sunny here in Lincolnshire. In the car on the way to a Bad Out of Hell performance.
This is the best place I've ever done one of these, I think. On the road to Sheffield, it's got to be the best one.
Well, it is about life, isn't it? So, it's authentic.
It is authentic. Now, I know you're very familiar with Battle of Hell. This is not your first rodeo. But how did all of this begin? What's the journey of how you've got to where you are today? Very vague question, I know.
Well, it started in around August 2016. I got a phone call from the casting director asking if I'd be interested to come and audition for this new show that's being put into London. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm currently on tour at the moment, but if I can get over, and he says, well, just tell us what days you're free, and we'll get you over, and we'll get the creative team ready on that day, and we'll just fly you in. They did exactly what they promised. They flew me in. I did a little private audition in the other Palace
Wow.
in London with a musical supervisor, Michael Reed, and the casting. There was a Skype Zoom audition with the director, Jay Shipe. Then everything got sent to Jim Steinman personally, and
Wow.
by the end of that day, I had an offer. And then on the 12th of December 2016, we started rehearsals.
That's amazing. Approved by Jim Steinman and I mean that is got
Definitely
to
is.
be wow.
But I
Wow.
think everybody who was in the original cast in one of the leading or supporting leading roles was had to be ticked off by Mr. Jim Steinman himself.
Wow. That's an honor. You've got to take that with you everywhere you go. Approved. Um now,
Yeah,
Bat
even
Out.
I remember him one of the rehearsals with Jim. He basically said to me and Sharon, my wife, who plays Sloane, Falco's wife in the piece, "Can you guys sing that 8 shows a week?" And I said, "Yeah, we'll give it a go." He said, "That's what I want to hear."
Amazing. Out of hell. You're no stranger to touring, but how are you finding touring?
It's definitely got its challenges, especially being on tour with a nanny and a 3-year-old child and a dog called Steinman, who's going to be 7 years old
Oh,
on Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
hey.
So it has its challenges, but because I have the best wife in the world who organizes everything, it makes it that much easier. I think me on my own, it'd just be complete chaos and havoc.
Oh, well, at least you've got the essentials touring with you then.
Yes.
That's it. Now,
I mean, it is fun to see so many different cities, but it also is not like everybody thinks you just rock up and do 2 hours and then go and
no.
party or not. No, it's and because Bat Out of Hell is a 1 day turnaround. So there's even if we're in Glasgow, the next day could be in Plymouth. So and you have to get there. So it's got
Crazy.
its challenges, but it's got its rewards at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fabulous show. It's toured before, and I bet the audiences receive it really well all up and down the country.
They really do. I mean, there's obviously a difference in every city, but they all are on their feet by the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And because you've done this before, what venues do you most enjoy visiting? Because there are some really beautiful theaters all over the country.
They really are. I mean, just like last week, we're in the Leeds Grand Theatre, and that is absolutely stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous piece of architecture.
Yeah.
And this week in the Sheffield Crucible, again, sorry, we're in the Lyceum and not the Crucible, and also a beautiful theatre. But the ones that are dear to my heart is are definitely Manchester because that's where we opened, and the the audience response we get in Scotland is just incredible. It's like a show in itself.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that is what you want from especially from a show like this with all the music that everybody knows and goes
Yeah.
for the music as well. Um, as I say, you were approved by Jim Steinman. Fantastic for your version of Falco. But how did you create your first version?
Well, when we were having the talks in the beginning with the director, we all sat around the table and were just speaking about this. There were a lot of nods to Peter Pan, and there were a lot of nods to say that Meatloaf himself was originally uh, earmarked for this role of Falco when Jim first wrote the piece as a musical before it was even an album. So I always wanted to see Falco as that, like a real version of Captain Hook. So not too caricature, but that typical villain that there's a reason why he's gone so bad, and that's to do with the love of his family and wanting to protect them and just to shelter them from all the badness in the world.
Absolutely. No, I
But I
really
think
like that.
anything you've done in your life as an actor, as a performer, you pull parts of that and try and make that amalgamation of every part that you've played into this new one, because there's always sweat, blood, and tears of yourself in every character that you play. And I think when you get the chance to do something for the first time with such a blank canvas, it's such a joy to how would you say, build sandcastles and play a little bit and rebuild them and knock them down with each other.
Yeah, I bet. I totally understand that with the playing. I think it's so important to do that sometimes and just have that chance to play around. So you've played Falco a few times now. Do you think sort of your portrayals changed over the years, or do you think it's still that one you formed back when you opened originally?
I feel the character of Falco, because of the changes that have happened to the piece, it may have softened a bit around the edges because some of the hardcore scenes that were back in the original, back in the Colosseum, like Land of the Pig, or that misfit, dysfunctional family that they put right in the beginning with Who Needs the Young, because those two parts of the show are no longer in it, I think it does soften the edges of the character. But because I had the fortune that I played the character when that part was in it, it still has the essence of Falco. But
Mm.
I think everything, I think with, I try to stay true to what we originally found all together with Jim and Jay Shipe and Michael Reed in the beginning, and with the fact that I still get to play the husband character opposite the wife character, who's my real life wife, does help that those arcs are still there, even if some of the parts are not shown to the audience anymore. They still happened in our journey.
Absolutely. And I think that's great. I think it's fantastic that you're both doing this and that you're still doing it as well. And you are the Falco. I don't think there's anybody that could rival your portrayal at this point.
That's very the world's a big place, but I think as long as this show has been giving me so much in my life, so I'm very grateful to be part of it. And if I can reap that reward from the audience and be able to perform such a great iconic role opposite my wife, I'll do it as long as they want me. It's not so hard when you're playing the dad character. I think if you're playing the young character, you can soon outgrow it,
Yeah.
or out age it, so to speak. But yeah, I hope it still shows on stage, and I believe it still shows the chemistry and the love that we both have for these characters.
That's amazing. Now, do you have a favorite moment in the show? That could be to perform or to watch, whichever you fancy.
Well, I mean, I've not seen the show, this version, yet. But I feel that when I watch the show, I really enjoy the scenes like Frying Pan. I think it's fun, or Dead Ringer. To perform myself, I just love What Part of My Body Hurts the Most, because that song was written for this piece, and it
Mm,
started off solo and it became a duet through being in the room when it happened with Jim Steinman. So that one's very,
amazing.
so many poignant reasons why it means so much to me, and to get to do that every night on stage is definitely my favorite moment of the show. Even though the biggest applause in the show is when um, Sharon sings "Baby, Baby, Baby" and All Coming Back to Me Now. But you
Yeah.
know, there's what
It's okay
part
to
of
be a
my body.
close second. Yeah. And now you said that your favorite song probably then would be What Part of My Body Hurts the Most, or do you have a different favorite song in the show?
Um, Trying to think really. I mean, the one that always makes me like tap my feet is probably Dead Ringer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that. But I do love the bass line in Rock and Roll Dreams. So
that
Rock
has
and Roll Dreams for the bass line,
yeah,
and Dead Ringer for the foot tapping.
totally. I agree with you there. Now again, you probably know this show better than most. The pair of you do anyway. So could you summarize the plot as quickly as possible for me, please?
It's caught in this rebel city. Falco and his wife Sloane were best friends with Strat. They were out of the city when an explosion went off, which froze them all in time. They're 18 years old. Then they had mixed ideas on how the future would be because Falco and Sloane aged and everybody else didn't. So they kind of outgrew the friendships. And then Strat starts to fall in love with Falco and Sloane's daughter. They're brought back to their kindred spirits. That story. Or you could say,
I like that.
you like to hear Sharon's version of what the show's about.
Yes.
Here we go. I'm going to hand you over to the wonderful Sharon Sexton.
Strad falls in love with Raven and we play the parents. But in Rob's head, you just got the whole backstory that we made up for the characters. But none of that's in the actual show. Just to clarify.
That's the quick version. There you go.
He's the realist. I didn't answer my head.
I love that. Now live theatre, we know it's a very special thing. Live performance is always going to be very special, and even sometimes things go slightly amiss. Now, do you have any memorable on-stage mishaps that you could tell us about?
Um, Jumping in the car in Paradise, turning around, but my foot got stuck between the seats and it snapped my foot off at the ankle.
Oh,
That's a memorable one.
oh,
Um, Sliding on the stage from the rock and hitting my face on the side of the car and knocking a tooth out. There's another one.
After walking.
In Woking, actually, last time we were here.
wow, that memories, wonderful memories.
Good memories. So many good memories. Funny things that happened. Anything that shoots out in your head, my love?
Barney when he's telling us it was
Oh yeah, Barney, who was one of our Strat covers. He was stood on the Hope Rock when we used to have a pool in the show, and he was there giving it all smooth operator with Raven, and he slipped and he fell into a 6 foot pool of water during a scene, which was hysterical.
Oh, bless him. Never mind. These things
I
happen,
mean,
and
other
these
than that,
remember.
we've had I've had a friend of mine who's currently playing Harold Ziedler in Moulin Rouge forget to put his pink pants on and pull his trousers off, and he's just there on a car in nothing but a thong, basically a skin colored dance belt. So we've had things like that happen.
All the fun.
Um, yeah, so many crazy things. Wigs flying off, people missing scenes. But it's rock and roll, you know. Danielle Steers in the scene where she holds a gun to Falco. She forgot the gun, so she just pointed her fingers and made a basically a hand version of a gun. Very funny.
Brilliant. That is hilarious.
So
And these
so many. I mean, that's the ones that are just like falling into my grey matter.
that's fantastic. I can't believe you did that one in walking though. Which brings me perfectly onto the fact that, of course, the show is coming back to walking. It comes from Monday the 5th right through to Saturday the 10th of May. It's it's brilliant for it to be back. I remember,
Yes, we had such a great time there.
yeah, I was speaking to Katie when she was in Bonnie and Clyde, and said that she rehearsed Bat on the stage at Woking.
Yes, that could be. Probably could
Yeah,
be. I mean,
Yeah, they joined us.
they joined us. That's it. Yeah, they joined us before we went to Dusseldorf to rehearse. Yeah. Wow.
that's amazing.
That's like 2 years ago, isn't it? It's 2 years ago.
Crazy. So it's really exciting for it to be back, but why should people come and see the show?
I think there's something for everybody, from the teenagers who are going through that rebellious stage against their parents, and for the parents who are trying to capture their lost youth. And I think for the older generation, it's just like jumping in that nostalgic time machine back to the 70s and enjoying that epic soundtrack of Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is proof that the younger generation of today still find that music of Jim Steinman as brilliant as when he wrote it in the 1970s. Because, if there's one thing certain about music, it's ageless, it's timeless. It has
I
no
agree.
age on it. It has no out of date kind of time on it. Probably unless if it's I'm a Barbie girl.
There might be a slight timing on that one. But the rest of music, absolutely timeless. And that is one of the many reasons to go and see Bad Out of Hell. It's a brilliant show. Is there any changes to this production?
It's kind of like a mixture between the Australian tour that we did. We have the band now on stage. We're all kind of, it's a bit more rock and roll and raw, but the songs and the book is the same as it was when we did the last tour in, was it 2022?
Yes.
2022. So the show's pretty much the same. It's a bit more rawer and a bit more in your face and rock and roll.
Well, I cannot wait to come and see you all next week. It's really exciting. But aside from that, that's all I needed to ask you today. So thank you so much for joining me on the road to Sheffield. This should be a new series. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be chatting with you, Rob.
You're very welcome. It's kind of a bit like carpool karaoke, isn't it? But
Just
the
a little
real
bit.
deal. Anyway, I mean, I think that anybody who comes to see this show, that it lives or dies on the vocals, and it definitely lives. And it basically everybody's reborn after hearing some of these epic Olympic singing vocals that you're going to hear in Bat Out of Hell.
Absolutely. So get your ticket. I'm going to leave the ticket links down in the description so you can go and grab some tickets for walking and for the rest of the tour. It's definitely worth the see because it's just fabulous. But aside from that, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining me, Rob, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.